All right, so we're working on another problem where we are going to apply rational number operations to our expression to evaluate and see what we get when we replace our variables with the given values. So we have C over A, and we're going to square that, plus B plus D to the first power, and that is going to be raised to the third power, and then they give us the given values for A, B, C, and D. All right, so the first thing we want to do is simplify it. I would say simplify it before we start replacing our values. So the first thing that I see is C over A is going to be squared. That's pretty much simplified. Plus B plus D to the first power, and that is going to be raised to the third power. Okay. So in other words, what we're saying is this is the only piece that I see that we can maybe simplify. So what we have is D. Remember where we looked at exponents and we're talking about powers of powers. Remember that we can take the power that we see here. So it's one that's being raised to another power and we can multiply those. Okay. So what we have is C over A squared plus B plus D times 1 to the to the first power times 3. All right, so what we end up with is C over A. I'm just going to rewrite it one more time. That's going to all be squared plus B plus D to the third power. All right. So what do we have now? For C, we have C as 6. So we're going to replace that with 6. And A is going to be 1.5. So that's going to be 1.5. And all that is going to be squared. Plus B. B is going to be 7/8. So we'll put 7/8. Plus D, which is going to be 1/2. And that is going to be cubed or to the third power. So oftentimes when you hear us say cubed, it means it's to the third power. If you hear us say squared, it's to the second power. So those are another way that you can call exponents. So what do we have? So remember under the distributive property, when we talk about powers, you're going to distribute this 2 to the numerator and the denominator. So in other words, you are saying 6 squared over 1.5 squared, okay? Plus 7/8 plus, again, we're going to distribute this to the numerator and denominator. So 1 to the third power over 2 to the third power. Now, what do we get? So 6 times 6 gives me 36. Okay. 1.5 times 1.5. Well, 15 times 15 is 225. So that's going to be 2.25. But let's look and see. So 1.5 times 1.5 gives me 2.25, right? So we have 2.25. Now we're going to add in our 7/8. And then we're going to add in 1 to the third power is going to be 3. And 2 to the third power is going to be 8. Okay. So now we have them all simplified. We have all fractions. So remember what I would do is look and see, can I convert these to decimals? So to do that, let's see what we have. 36 divided by 2.25. That's a terminating decimal, right? So that turns out to be 16. So that's terminating. And I'm just going to put 16 underneath so we know what that's equivalent to. All right. And then we have 7/8. So 7 divided by 8. That's equal to 0.875. So that's also a terminating 0.875. And let's see what happens with 3/8. So 3/8 would be 0.375. So this is also a terminating decimal. So with all of them being terminating decimals, remember that you can convert everything into decimal form, which I've already started doing that. So 36 divided by 2.25 or 36 over 2.25 is 16. And then we're going to add in 7/8, which we found is the same thing as 875 thousandths. And then we're adding 3/8, and that is the same thing as 375 thousandths. Okay, so now what do we get when we add all of those together? We get 16 plus 0.875 plus 0.375. All right, and we come out with 17.25. Let's try this one more time because something looks a little off. Let me try this one more time. 1/8. Oh, my apologies. I see what I did wrong. 1 to the third power. Let me back up. 1 to the third power. That's the same thing as saying 1 times 1 times 1. So that's 1. I looked at it as multiplication, and that is not correct when we're looking at exponents. So this should actually be 1/8. Okay. So 1/8 is going to be 1 divided by 8. That gives me 0.125. Okay. Now let's add all of those numbers up now. So we have the 125. I'm going to add 0.875. I'm working my way backwards now. Plus 16. Okay. All right. So our answer is 17. That looks better. All right. So our answer is going to be 17.